Please can you give a round of applause to the audience? So what's your name?
My name is Elegushi. I'm a sensory student and I'm from Community Senior Secondary School.
Please can you give a round of applause? Thank you very much. Sure.
Thank you very much. A beautiful day to everyone of us. The theme, I'm going to say that it is well written boldly, and it's even starting with the community. So, the issue of community is of real importance, and every community will start with, let me say, before it becomes a community, the family plays a great role. So, and I will say, truly, without mixing words, the entire community is in crisis. Understand? Previously when we talk about drugs, we'll be looking at all those ones that are possibly maybe expensive, that are not within the reach of any common person, or maybe within the reach of an average individual. But these days, we now see things that are very common, that is very accessible, that is available. I think those ones are not being classified as a substance. Look at that, substance. So that makes the entire community in crisis. And you can even see, just when the keynote speaker was addressing us, you can even see those that were responding more. They were the people in secondary schools. So most of them may be possibly in the SS1, SS2, SS3. So that what?
Somebody said that the members were pretending that they didn't know about drugs.
Okay.
That's why we had young people.
So if the members, if they were pretending, you can even see the younger ones, they weren't pretending about it. So that means they are aware of it, they are in the know about it. As far as what is drugs or possibly maybe the substance are concerned, they may see people within their communities, within their environment that have maybe gotten to the level of addiction. Understand? So that's it. So don't let us shy from it. We are in crisis, and definitely since we've identified the problem, we must definitely look for the solution. So I'm sure by the time we have Georgia here to do some discussions, we're able to maybe reach some conclusion as far as the solution is concerned. The point has been identified, so the solution. That's what we should do to come to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that solution. So my next question is going to go to Obi Winifred Joy, our Goldmynetv says. So he just added us, our traditional leader just made a solid point that a lot of young people do know about these things and are involved in these things. Why do you think a lot of young people find these things so beautiful to experience? Why do they want to escape? Somebody said that earlier, that people want to escape, and many of these narcotics are psychoactive substances that help people escape your current reality. Why do you think that many youths want to engage in this?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Royal Majesty. Thank you very much for the opportunity to sit down here today to talk about the topic, drug abuse. Now, I would say a lot of people do drugs mostly because of peer pressure. Now, for example, most of the students here now are in SS3. When they leave here now, they enter the university. When they enter the university, they do not have parental guidance there. They are all by themselves. They meet all manner of people. They meet with all manner of they shared normal zobo that you would drink normally and nothing would happen to you. I drank the zobo and I slept at the Lagos Express Road at 5 a.m. Now that was because I was not experienced. I just left secondary school, I just left my mom, and I've gone to the university all by myself. I mean, our parents will not always be there to like guide us, but the pressure from people that you have to do this, you have to belong. You know, if you don't do it, you're not a big boy, you're not a big girl. That's how so many people start taking drugs. And by the time they start taking it, it becomes very difficult for them to stop. It becomes very difficult for them to like go away from this, because I would say that even growing up, some parents do not even know what is happening with their child. A lot of children are depressed. A lot of children are going through a lot of things that they cannot open up. And they feel like, oh, when you take these drugs, because your liver cannot, how would I explain? Your liver cannot eliminate it well. It makes you excited. It takes you out of this world. You know, you become a better person. So I feel most people feel like, to them, that's what they feel. So to them, they feel that's like the best way to like escape from the world and things that are happening. So most times, it's not like they really want to take these drugs or they really want to do drugs, but because of peer pressure or wanting to belong, wanting to know what it feels like to be a big boy, to be a big girl, that's why most people go into drugs.
Thank you very much for that. But I want to come to Dr. Kabira right now. You said something that's mostly concerns depression and peer pressure that causes young people to go into drugs. Dr. Kabira, in your experience as a psychiatrist, are those the only factors that push young people into drugs? Or are there other societal issues that inspire this?
Thank you very much. I'll start by appreciating the Royal Ministry for being support of this notable program and came out in praise. And listening to keynote speaker too, when you were really breaking and giving us the statistics, and that was why I was not overly surprised when the students from primary and secondary, we are talking about the community, and statistics have shown that out of it, 27% that are now introduced or actively using substance, it's covered across in the community, and we're talking between the ages of 13 to 65 years of age. And there are a lot of factors, because this is now coming closer to us. Before, it used to be like far-fetched, oh, this old, everybody would say, oh, don't need to be this kind of people do. But it's coming to our back, even within our house. People are doing that. I'm even surprised, the name they are mentioning, there are some newly synthesized ones that they are made that, okay, so this can actually give this. I'm very sure my director here can attest to it.
I was surprised I
When you are moving an inch, you realize that the crowd has moved the whole yard beyond.
And even if you knew these things, you wouldn't know that this is what they're talking about.
They are not mixing so much of it together that even by the time you are doing your test kit, you are looking for marijuana, that is the normal with them, but by the time you move the combo together and you are using, you do that. Somebody will be telling you, before we bring this, they just finish smoking now, and you'll be like, okay, we can. And so that brings me to the factors. There are a lot of misconceptions about substance. And that will make a lot of people now look down to peer pressure. When I have clients, we don't call it initiating because of derogation. That's why I want to correct the word that one of my students said, madness is actually derogatory. If you want to offer help to people and you're already stigmatizing them or her, they are not willing to come to you because they already believe that you are prejudiced already. So whatever effort they are you bringing forth, they are not going to be free and you not get the own truth. So we use the word clients today. are several factors, but majority of us are easy to call it down to peer pressure. And when I ask some people, I'll be like, okay, when you say peer pressure, let's take it hypothetically. There are several factors. The reason why in Nigeria we have a diverse system is multi-religious income. If I have a friend that is Christian, hypothetically I'm a Muslim, and I'm very, very close. What's the reason why I'm not going to church with him or her? So, peer pressure helps us to hide under a lot of things. And that is why a lot of factors comes into play when we are talking about the reason why a lot of people go into play. Another hypothetical example is if I have a friend that is doing vices and going into armed robbery, the way he or she cannot love me to go and rob an individual is the same way that will not bring into the fact that why would the pressure push you into starting substance?
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying is that peer pressure is not the factor that
It's not, it's one of the factors, but it's really down. So one of the things about when we're talking about the factors, we look at inside the world. We look at the biological component, we look at the psychological factors, and we look at the societal factors. So peer pressure falls into the society, but there are other factors that can predispose an individual into experimenting with substance. So when we're talking about the biological component, we show that if I have a factor that takes substance, I call it hereditary. It will be hereditary. Like any illness that is hereditary, substance misuse can be hereditary. That's biological component. And if you see, so there are several studies to portray that one. Like the psychological factor. If I have a group growing up, we have some other individuals that will look up like role model, which we call modeling. And that brings about what I spoke about. A lot of us, we do things up. Growing up, we have our aspiration. The reason I want to become a doctor was I had a mom who was doing well. If you ask anybody, who is your role model? Everybody aspires to be somebody. So when you want to have somebody that modeling your life with or after, could be another quality factor for you.
So I'll come back to you on some of the other factors, but I want to talk to just as Ademola sharing that right now. There's when I was working on the story last 2 years ago, the headline was Cannabis Highway to Hell. Many people see recreational drug use as not a problem. I mean, go to a party like Chichi and to experience drugs for the first time in 7 and you don't go back to it. Maybe another one every time you go to another party and that's the only time it's 60 days. But then we have some people who try it for the first time. I mean, regular weed now, not Colorado, SK, or any of the other variants. You try it for the first time and you are hooked for life. Or maybe not for life, but you are hooked. And you keep going back to it, you keep experimenting with it, even on the drugs. At the point where the first time user comes into contact with the law enforcement person, what's the first thing that can be done to make sure that that person doesn't go back at that point? Go back to use more, experiment more with other things. Because sometimes users are eventually fall into the hands of the NGO, for example. You see that in this day in society, and maybe just talk to them and arrest them, give them bail, and then go, or is there something that is prospection to ensure that they see it as never do again?
Okay, thank you very much. My friend, you have so many questions just in one. First of all, I have to form my complaints to the organizers of this program. 3 years ago, I was a guest of the Malaysian deliver trainings, perspectives of the topics. While we were seated, we didn't even invite the president of the country. So when you walk in, the chief of the police and other people said we should go to the prisoners so that the president will see the prisoners first hand. Because the prisoners were so tortured, we were taken to go and see the prisoners. Lo and behold, it was a story building. Some of the prisoners started flying out of the prison for fear of the president. A lot of them ended up committing suicide. These organizers kept me in the chair and brought His Royal Highness Saheed Ademola Elegushi to sit near me. Somebody I was seeing on television. That was very unfair. Please, Gabriel, I apologize. My name is Ademola. I'm the Deputy State Commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, responsible for operations and training in Lagos. So, out of all your questions, I'll read out some few things you pick up from where we are going to discuss issues of stigma, issues of why people choose drugs, and so on and so forth. Let me just read from what my sister, the psychiatric consultant, said. Drug abuse issues, related hereditary issues. The United Nations conventions have read that children of alcoholics more often than not do themselves become alcoholics. So if a father is alcoholic, prospects are that for some of us that have done little IT, and we saw from Chief Goldmynetv, there are all about garbage in, garbage out. You don't expect to be a drug addict and you are going to have 100% pastors or imams, accountants or engineers. That someone amongst them has to take off from the legacy of what you have given out to him. Let me also add, part of the causes of drug abuse are not known. The principal cause of drug abuse is not known. Same as it is not known the cause of diabetes, the cause of hypertension. Somebody said the cause of diabetes is taking excessive Coca-Cola or excessive soft drinks. So the cause of drug abuse may be attributed to excessive intake of drugs that cause addiction. However, can we define what is drug abuse? Drug is said to be abused only in three things. One, when its intake is prohibited. The taking of any drug that is prohibited is called drug abuse. The abuse of, number two, the intake of, excessive intake of socially acceptable drugs. Some people think alcohol and tobacco are socially acceptable. The damage that alcohol does is far more worse than what cannabis does. Alcohol is one of the major causes of death in the world, much more than how cannabis causes death in the world. And so, because of things like this, I'm happy the members of National Union of Road Transport Workers are here. The whole should be banned in parks because so many drivers of commercial vehicles take them and end up driving vehicles that who are killing fellow human beings on the highways. Okay, let me just go back a little bit towards prevention. Because a lot of us are already indulged in drugs, a lot of parents, a lot of peer groups, people see drugs as fashion because of so many reasons. Part of them is because the society and culture of so many of us in Africa promotes the intake and consumption of drugs. I live in all the parts of this country. I want to tell you that so many parts I lived my life. Even if you want to marry a woman, they cannot give you out a woman for marriage until you bring alcohol. Some places you bring tobacco, some places you bring cola nut. So people bring other drugs that they smoke. So it's all part of the list that they give you as part of you to marry their daughter. Okay, so these are part of the reasons. Cultural issues. The next reason is Nigeria see a lot of these things as near normal. Near normal because we are in Elegushi, Ada, Epe, down to Vigileki. Okay. A lot of these tributaries, people load drugs from Ghana, from Togo, from Benin Republic, and they take flying boats, cotton boats, and they come in our beaches here, in our tributaries here of our communities, and they offload tons and tons and tons of drugs, move them into our communities, and stop them, and later expect law enforcement agents to come and evacuate them. While in every community, every single drug baron that carries drugs, that peddling drugs, is well known to all the people in the community. It behoves on community leaders now to have community vigilance so that you and I can stop this problem of drug abuse from where it originates. Because if you do not come in drugs, 2 weeks ago, we saw where NDLEA, Lagos State Command, arrested 2 tons of cannabis. I mean, the press release was issued by the Director of Media and Advocacy of the National Drug Enforcement Agency, Femi Babafemi. A lot of us saw it. 2 tons from this community. In January, in late December, 3 tons from this community. We are not only living as communities in crisis, we should be involved in tackling the problem of drug abuse in our communities. Parents, community leaders, I want to know what the next time we want to invite me, allow me to talk. Thank you, please. Thank you very much. Just 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. How do we stop? I don't know whether I'll have the opportunity to talk again. Let there be all of us realistic prevention strategies. Realistic prevention strategies must be evolved by all of us, including journalists like you, so that together we stop communities in crisis. It is not my problem, it is the government's problem. It is the problem of the schools. It is the problem of Elegushi. It is the problem of Governor of Lagos. It is the problem of Ademola. It is the president of the problem of the president and commander-in-chief. It is the problem of parents. We have to stop it from the basic foundation. When you train your child not to use drugs, forget about peer group influence, forget about whatever. If a child is brain trained, she cannot go to such a path that they can abduct her and drop her in Lagos by the expressway by 5 a.m. in the morning. No disrespect to your parents. I'm older than you. I've been in service for the past 33 years. I have 2 daughters like you now in NYC. If you are more than 33 years, you're not supposed to be covered. So I'm not enough to be a father. I'm not to be a father. So what I'm saying is, gentlemen, let us stop grandstanding
find these drugs, we find their names in dictionaries. We find them online by going on Facebook. We find them in many places. We find them outside the road, in the markets, along the streets, and so on. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. We find these drugs online. They educate us about it in school and how to avoid it. We find them on the roads. We find people selling it in like supermarkets and everything.
Supermarkets?
Yeah.
Let's go on, let's go on.
Yeah, we find it.
What else is so we can hear what young leaders are saying? What else, please?
We find it on the road, like in different communities where we're going, we see people selling it.
Why is it on the road? Is it that you're just walking on the road and you just find it on the floor?
No, like some people dispose, like when they take it, they dispose it on the road
Okay.
and others sell, like go around people's vehicles selling it, what do you want to get this?
So you have an approach, like, you know, just offering drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. These drugs, find them on the road, like supermarkets. Some people they sell it beside the road. Some people will take it and drop it on the floor because things happen. People sell drugs that it's not meant to take.
Are we talking cigarettes? Are we talking weed? Do they sell, do they really sell to young children who look young? You know, it's one thing for a 16-year-old to look like a 21-year-old. Do they sell to young people? I mean, thank you very much. Thank you, young guys, for answering that question. Now, what brings me back to, I think I managed to respond to many of these things that I know that before we let our NDA representative speak. Who speaks now?
Once again, thank you very much. Truly speaking, talking about all these substances, drugs, in the real fact, it's I say coding. It's being done coded. But people that are into it, people that consume it, for instance, even if they should come all the way from, let me say they come all the way from, let me say from people outside Lagos. Once they get into any particular environment, understand, they will locate where they will get it. I don't know, maybe it's on Google.
I think you said
There is scope for it, of which is only people that are into it that are quite to understand it. And even another thing is that most of it, or some of it, the packaging, understand?
it's not what people can easily recognize.
Yes, no, when you are seeing the packaging, you just say, maybe this one is Maggi, or maybe this one is Sydney, or maybe this one is England. Unknowingly, so for those people that consume it, that they will understand it. And the way it is degenerating is now creating to the extent that things that most of us doesn't even know. There was a time I was reading to online that they now make use of bones of dead bodies. That they will crush it, that sorting again, it makes people, those that consume it, makes them to die. So it's multifaceted and it's making it to look as if only God knows how can address this issue or how you can get to lead it to the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I want to ask Mr. Shield to please respond to that. Because he said something that many of this package looks like, sometimes it looks like Maggi, it looks like seasoning. And yes, that's what our panel professional has said.
We are asked to deliver this kind of trainings all over the world. Okay, now, it's not about drugs properly packaged name for it and talk to the supermarket attendant, and he will just take you to where they sell different varieties of drugs. A platform like this is a wrong place to discuss this kind of things where early adolescents are seated, so that they do not do something we call the beginning of drug intake is experimentation. And so therefore, any child now will give 5, she can be saving from her break money, and one day walk into the supermarket and say, I want colos, and they will save the colos to the child, and she goes to the back of the school with 2 of her friends and experiments. What you require to do now is 3 things. I promise, in my capacity as the deputy state commander in charge of operations and training, to train, because a lot of people do not even know what to do if they go out. Oftentimes, you gather a lot of school children and you don't know what to teach them. You end up teaching and doing now. By exposing them to literatures and drugs that they have not known in their private capacity, you now make others to even enlighten them even more, making them very vulnerable.
That this information is out there. Yes, that this information is out there, especially because it's most of those who came here told us that this thing is find it on the road, they find this information online.
Good. For example, like I said, I'm going to do 3 things here. I promise this Elegushi Foundation, I promise to pick any day. I'm going to run a 2-day program for them on issues of drug abuse, so that there will be evidence-based prevention professionals.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
The teachers live with the students in the school, and they will be with them for any identification of drug use, for identified deviant behaviors, or for students that are already taking the drugs in the class. A teacher will be able to identify them so that managing them will be different from managing the other students that have not tasted drugs.
I think teachers and students are excited about this opportunity. Just say, let's do a free offer. You can write to me.
Any school from Elegushi can write. It's the first one I will do in Lagos. We want to please, which is Royal Highness, that the area commands that are living around these places, the area commands that are running operational activities of NDA, can be assisted, will be assisted with whatever logistics that you may have, so that we will all together make our communities already in crisis tackle as a contribution drug abuse issues in Elegushi, which is our community, together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have effectively run out of time, but I want Dr. Cabrera to wrap up this time by telling us, one, in 1 minute, does rehabilitation really work? And then what are the effects of continued drug use, especially in the life of a young person, an underage person? What are the effects, the physical effects that parents can look out for? And to also educate the young people that what are the things that will happen to you if you keep using drugs?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. By way of concluding or conclusion or talking about the effect
1 minute.
of substance use on the brain. For the younger ones, the brain is still growing. So the effect of drug use on the brain goes a long way. Like my copper said earlier, some use substance for depression. It has a dual effect. Depression can lead some people to use substance, while substance use can predispose other people to depression. So you have to look at effect, both the biological effect, like the chemo speaker. If I need speaker, I can get that when at the end of this program. Because it's the effect, you have to look at the brain. The medical aspect is there. The mental aspect, which is the stigmatized parts that we deal with, and that's the derogatory of constant madness. And I can tell you, the effect of this substance is just a pleasure effect, and it's just for a few seconds. And that's why you see people going over and over to reiterate that pleasure effect that they are going to get with substance, irrespective whether it's cannabis, it's alcohol, it's cigarette, because you need that pleasure to sustain how you do so before addiction now starts setting in. So it has its own effect. Complication cannot be provided like physical infection, HIV, hepatitis, the mental illness. What you set out to achieve in life, you cannot. And at the end of the day, you end up being confined to our body and stigma setting.
Now, for
So
those
the
who are
rehabilitation we are not talking about now, when you don't want to rehabilitate, you need to identify the core cause. Why am I doing this before you set out? Because if you don't identify the reason why you start using it, you'll not be able to put a stop to it. And when you don't put a stop to it, you now look at other ways that you are going to achieve that effect that you are looking for in that substance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kabirat. Thank you very much to all our panelists. That's been a very enlightening session, a very educative session. If you agree with me, please, a round of applause for our panelists.
And it's such an honor to be here today. Thank you. It's really awesome. So my question is directed to Mr. Goldmynetv. It's about the aspect you talked about parents being the bedrock of the community and ensuring that their children are being taught well on issues of drug abuse. So I want to ask, what about children from dysfunctional homes? Then also, there was a party
Children from
dysfunctional homes. Then there was a party talk about treatment and management in the community. Last week at our foundation, we had the honor to do a project in the remote community in Lagos State, that's Makobo community. And we noticed that there was nothing like a community health center whatsoever. So what do we say to this? How do we address issues like this? And how would communities like that be controlled from the use of drug abuse? Because we saw a lot of things in such a community. And I'm sure that people from them find out what they are doing to places like where it is to pass their own states and all that stuff.
Number one, categories of NGOs that do basically research. So if it's your work to do only research, we should be able to train you on how to conduct the research. Whether there are different kinds of research methodologies, and there are different kinds of ways with which you implement your research. So we are going to teach you how to run your research NGO. The second NGO we needed to train is NGOs that are concerned with issues of sensitization. There are NGOs that go about doing sensitization programs in villages, in communities, in hamlets. So you needed to be trained on how to conduct sensitization in different parts. What to tell early adolescents, what to tell middle adolescents, what to teach to come into our schools as you said earlier. So I will release your blessing back to the General Permanent Secretary for our program to into our school to create an ambassador, not only awareness, but something. We want some of the students to be an ambassador in some of our schools around here. And the thing labor emphasis on, which is our parents and the community. This is the where we have fish. I'm also teacher in Ghana, the last environment here, where we have the student coming into school early in the morning, the job with the so-called Ghana that said about not only is their but we have, like I said, we have other things on that.
Formed by our royal father, Elegushi, for the youth, and it was specifically formed for issues like this and other issues. So I can tell you categorically that ever since we started with our chairman, our head, Prince Ademola Elegushi, we've gone round demolishing, chasing people that are involved in illicit businesses. I'm talking about drugs and whatnot, other stuff. So we do all the crooks and crannies and shanties around, we want to demolish them because of issues like this. I'm so happy that we have a panel like this today where we get to interact with NTLA. I think I'm going to get your number, sir, because when we catch people like that, in the Elegushi community, you can ask around. They fear us, they hide because our capacity does not permit things like this. No Elegushi member who is a bona fide family member uses drugs. We do not allow it. Yeah, youthful exuberance, we go out, we drink, we have fun, but we dare not use drugs. Our capacity is always interacting with us. It's not on a general, it's a one-on-one forum. We always have lots of interactions, numerous interactions, and he also disciplines. That is what he does. He plays with us, he laughs with us, but there's always a line. And he also interacts with us. Part of interacting with us is about building our self-esteem, which we've been able to transfer to our young ones, to our children. We build their self-esteem, so when they get to it, because everybody's going to be exposed to it in one form or the other, through peer pressure or the environment or whatnot. But when you see it, we know people that use drugs. Even when we see the video using drugs that comes to our side, we will not use it. Because we have high self-esteem, high morals, and we know that if Kabesi should catch us or somebody should tell him, he is going to discipline us. He would not say because he's Kabesi and you say, oh my God, he will discipline us. Ask every family member, ask people that are close to the family. That is how we do it here, and it has worked for years, and it is still working.
The fact that when we are talking about there are different factors that are responsible for this addiction for this. So when you are ready to, and the society, and that's why I say the biological, psychological factors and the thing. So we are ready to stop it. We've come to the other psychiatric hospital, we've done the rehabilitation, we are willing to stop smoking, or getting back to the society. Maybe there's a neighbor, the father is smoking actively, or by the time you step out of your gate, there's someone. So those children will still make you go back to substance use. And that's why one of the major reasons why a lot of people find it actually difficult to stop.
Traditional leaders, your reality, ABSU. My question is directed to the chief operator of NDL in Lagos.
Deputy Commander Narcotics, sir. Fine. From your Elegushi community, final question for you.
Sorry, my name is Shukri Bukadanze. I'm a student from Western School. My question is from the perspective of two roles. As a student of my school who has attended civic education or civics lectures about drug abuse, and also as a student who has volunteered at NGOs that relate to drug abuse and helping students and kids off the streets relating to drug use and drug addicts. How would you classify the thin line between misinforming students while trying to actively teach and educate them about the dangers of drug abuse without necessarily hand in hand affecting them negatively while passing the wrong image and, like you rightly said, bringing it to their awareness about drug abuse and the dangers, often making students and youth more equal into the use of drug abuse? How would you classify misinforming as to properly informing students and the youth of today?
I think the shortest answer I will give to you is how to classify the thin line between exposing the students vis-a-vis education of drugs. Well, fundamentally, all professionals, what I mean is evidence-based prevention practitioners, before they go to a community enlightened on the issue of drugs, they must do something they call community survey. And so therefore, if I am going to your school, I will divide the students into three: early adolescents, middle adolescents, and late adolescents. Okay? So, early adolescents, I will tell them there are drugs that destroy people and all that. Because I know at 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, 12 years, some people in some parts of the country at 10 years are exposed to drugs already. Okay? So,
profound gratitude to Royal Majesty, Saheed, Ademola, Elegushi, and Chairman Traditional Institution in Details and Local Government. I also want to thank His Majesty and his counterpart, who happens to be my own Lord, for declaring zero tolerance for drug abuse and substances in our two kingdoms. My question goes to the Deputy Controller. You have been speaking every day the last 1 hour. I quite appreciate that. But I would like to say this, that it is more like culture now in Nigeria, where you see superstars in quotes, flaunting drugs and substances in their videos. It is so unfortunate that so far we have not had anything from your agency in terms of curbing them or prosecuting any of these powerful guys in quotes. I think you will do well to address this issue by first of all tackling these demands from that angle. The use of substance or drug, particularly cannabis sativa, cocaine, heroin, and the likes, should be totally discouraged in musical videos. Because these young ones are used to watching videos even without the knowledge of their parents. Please, I will advise you to start from there, sir. Thank you so much.
What they are doing is called negative advertisement. It's not only weed that they take that destroy the psyche of our children. There is also advertisement of alcohol on televisions. When we were much younger, Your Highness Ballet sir, I think there was this advert about Fela advert, cigar target, and some other artists that advertise different types of non-conforming drugs. Yeah, the children I saw, one of my daughters came out saying she learned drugs, different kind of drugs on the net. It means that the mother must have given her, or the father must have given her a phone without access, without any barrier. So she can go to any site and visit any kind of drug and learn it, how it is taken, how it is smoked, how it is used, what effect it gives, what feelings it gives. So our problem now has not gotten to, look, if we continue following what I'm saying, parental skills, if we take these parental skills, whatever influence somebody wants to have on us, we don't have it. Because with our parents can speak to us, you must have to take the what the Lord said in the Bible. We have to take what Allah said in the Quran. If we can follow just these two examples, half of the societal problems in this world are solved.
But we are going to step out in the free lecture or you also need it community. Thank you for that. My special thanks go to all the panelists here today for their wonderful contribution. Distinguished guests, esteemed stakeholders, vibrant youth and members of our community. It is my honor to join you at this important gathering as we confront the growing crisis of drug abuse in our communities. At this station, and Nigeria as a whole, this issue is destroying lives, tearing families apart, and threatening the future of our youth. It is a battle we cannot fight alone. Government agencies, security forces, healthcare provider, school strategy institute, and community must work together. I commend the Lagos State Government, NDLA, hospitals, and rehabilitation centers for their tireless efforts. As a traditional ruler, I pledge my full support in raising awareness, promoting rehabilitation, and ensuring our community become a place of healing and hope. Let us commit today to real action, stronger collaboration, increased awareness, and community-driven solution.
And since its inception, actually. And about the foundation, we're into quite a number of, we support about 6 pillars. We have health, we have education, we have social development, we have sports. We also have, we're very passionate about gender issues as well. So most of what we've done in the last year and a half, we've actually focused on women. So for instance, in our community, we donate sanitary towels to senior secondary schools every month without fail, because we understand that with the present state of the economy, a lot of parents are finding it challenging to support not only financial needs, but also health needs for their girl child. So we have decided as an entity to ease that burden with parents within the communities. Of course, we can't help everyone, but those that we can do for, we will always support. The foundation is also very passionate about health and, like I said, youth development, social development, which is one of the reasons why we came up with this stakeholders engagement today. We know that this pandemic is really digging into the core. It is a rot in our societies now. The age for substance abuse is getting lower and lower. You're looking at primary schools now, not just tertiary institutions. Before, you would say it was the tertiary institutions, but now you find that primary schools are involved as well. And you find that most of these children do not even understand the implications of what they are doing now, which is one of the reasons why we said, you know what, let's take this thing at the grassroots. We will create awareness, educate people, and also prefer solutions. Now, we have done the awareness part where
we sure hope you enjoyed this video. For more entertaining video content such as behind the scenes of music videos and movies, music concerts, premieres, interviews, and exclusive gists, subscribe now to our YouTube channel Goldmynetv and be unleashed into a world of super excitement.